Hello everyone, we are back with the 7th series. We interviewed for you surf legend, world champion, surf photographers, shapers, and many more. We hope you like the series and please stay tuned for more amazing news. Mahalo. Aloha, welcome to the 5th episode of the 7th series of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today with us from Hawaii, legendary shaper Jon Pyzel. We discovered with him about surfboard, shaping for champions like John Florence, and much more. Hello, Jon. Welcome to the show. Where are you today?
Hey, I'm good. I'm in Hawaii, and the swell is picking up right now. I was just checking the buoys. The buoys, Waimea buoy is 5 feet, but the interval is 22 seconds. Which is pretty significant. And tomorrow's supposed to be like maybe 25 feet. So surf's getting big. And I'm just down in my factory in Wailua working.
Tomorrow, everybody's going to go out and see the waves and surf, possibly, right?
Yes. Should be a big day. Should be interesting.
It's one of those days that you cannot miss.
Yeah.
Exactly. So today we're going to talk about many things. We're going to talk about surf design, surfboards, the history of your brand, your company. But the first question that I have for you is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
The most important thing in surfing?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to beep this whole time. I don't know how to turn that off. The most important thing in surfing is just to, I don't know, I guess it's just to like enjoy it, to have a good time, you know, like surfing for me is, it's really important in my life. I'm really like, I'm a surfer before I'm a shaper in my head. Like I've surfed since I've been surfing for 40 years. I'm 53. I've been surfing since I was 12 or 13. And for me, surfing is just like, it just makes me feel good. It makes me, puts me in a better mood. It gives me a lot in my life. And I feel like, the most important thing is just going surfing. You know what I mean? Like getting out in the water, not just, I mean, of course, right now we're going to talk about surfing, but like actually surfing. There's a lot of people, I think they're so obsessed with surfing and like surf culture or whatever, but like the act of going surfing is the most important part, and to enjoy that and to have that, like, hopefully it gives you some joy in your life and for me, it's like meditation or something. I calm down. I'm a very hyper person, and it lets me relax and focuses me. And I get out of the water, I always feel better than I did before I got in the water. So it's good for my wife. You know what I mean? It's good for my friend. It's good for everyone around me, because I'm a better person after I go surfing than I am before I go surfing.
I mean, it's definitely, if he has that effect around you, that is definitely good. And you know, like when you are facing something that you cannot control, like the ocean, you need to that you have that space, like you're saying, call it meditation or call it inner space, you know, where you just focus on totally on you, on the wave, on the.
When you get to get away from all your other bullshit, you know, you can leave everything that you're dealing with on land behind you, hopefully, and just, you know, you're looking at like this wave that's coming or whatever, and it puts your focus on something that's not so, you know, all the crap in the world kind of goes away when you're out in the water if you're surfing good waves with people that you like. And it's pretty special.
And you were saying, you know, like to be a surfboard shaper, you need to be a surfer, right?
Yeah, it's funny. There are some guys that shape that maybe they used to surf and they don't surf anymore. And that's, I don't think you have to be an active surfer to be a good shaper. I think there's a lot of guys that probably haven't surfed in a long time that still make beautiful boards, but I think it feels more, makes me feel good. And it's, to me, it's important for me personally. I don't know. I'm not putting that on other people, you know, but I think it helps me as far as learning about what I'm making and all that stuff. It's having like direct feedback from your surfboards and all that really helps, or making something new and trying it like the next day or whatever, rather than thinking about it, or I don't know. it's nice.
Yeah, and that makes also your job more interesting, right? If you have that kind of exchange, otherwise.
And even if it's like I ride a board and then maybe I talk to one of my team riders about the board, of course I'm not surfing at their level, but I'm still feeling similar feelings. You know what I mean? It's like I can still understand what they're talking about when they're, or like sometimes with John, he'll be explaining to me a feeling he gets about a certain part of a board. And then since I've ridden that board, I kind of understand and I can put it into words a little bit for him just from my feelings. And he's like, yeah, that's what I mean. Whatever. It's helpful for sure.
You were naming John. Actually, I didn't know if I wanted to ask you this question or not, but since you're talking about, of course, like you can say that you contributed to his success in a certain way. Do you agree on the way I'm saying it or no?
I think he's just, I think that he is a very, very talented person and he's very, very talented surfer. And he would have been a great surfer regardless of my relationship with him or not. But I do feel like I like to hope that we kind of grew together, like my shaping and his surfing kind of grew parallel in a way, like he got better and better from a young age. And then my shaping was getting better and better. And I learned a lot from him. And I hope I helped him along the way too. I think I did. And one thing I can say for sure is that since we have worked so closely together for so long, we definitely understand each other really well and he knows how to get what he needs from me in a surfboard. I know how to design a surfboard around what I think he needs. We have it's pretty, we work well together. So yeah. Like I said, he would rip regardless. And you give him a surfboard, he's going to surf really well. And a lot of people say that they're like, it doesn't matter. The board doesn't matter. And I agree that 100% that like he will rip on somebody else's boards too. But it is nice. Our relationship allows our situation to be, it takes away some X factors, I think, that allow him to focus on the stuff he needs to focus on rather than worrying about surfboards or changes or whatever. He can really work on his surfing and then give me feedback on boards, but without having to worry as much about a board necessarily as he would maybe with different people. I don't know. It's hard to say. We've just kind of been intertwined throughout our careers,
It's also a matter of confidence, like
sure.
I
comfort. And comfort too. Like he's comfortable. Totally, he's confident. I give him a brand new board. I mean, he rode brand new boards and wins heats, that feels pretty good. You watch somebody paddle out, wax a brand new board and paddle out a pipeline and get a 9.5 or whatever on it. You're like, that's nice.
Nice. I was talking like a long time ago, not a few months ago with Sean Mattison, that, like he developed for Kelly's later the fifth fin.
Yeah, the little stub fin.
Yeah, and then he told me, I don't know if like I invented something like crazy, though he gave confidence to Kelly when he was trying that fin, and he said like, oh my God, like the way I'm surfing completely changed. And maybe I don't know if it did completely change, maybe it helped, but for sure gave him confidence. And I think, okay, it's a fin, it's a shaper, shaping is a different thing, but is part of the same
psychological advantage where you're like, I don't need to worry about this. And I can take that out of like, there's, especially like when you're surfing at such a high level and trying to achieve certain things, like John's very focused and very like methodical. He doesn't want to have question marks in his, like the day of a contest, he wakes up, he doesn't want to be wondering what board he's going to ride or what fins he's going to use or what he already knows. And he's already got it planned and he already has it all in his head. And I think that psychological advantage is huge. I mean, I remember years ago watching the heat at Trestles and Jordy Smith was surfing. And it was when it was a long, long time ago when Jordy was riding like all different boards. He'd be at the beach with 12 boards on the beach and run in and change boards. And they were shaped by 5 different guys. And I remember watching a heat where he literally came in on a wave at Trestles, which is one of the most like, it's not like a wave you're surprised by. It's pretty much breaks a lot the same a lot of time. You're not gonna be like, wow, that was way different than I thought out there. He came in the middle of his heat and switched boards, and to me that was like, wow, Jon would never do that. Like he already knows, like, this is the board, this is the time, so having that kind of relationship with me, I think helps with that too, where you're like, you're getting rid of question marks in your day, in your competition, and clearing your head for like focusing on what you need to do in the heat and just not having a bunch of extra noise,
Yeah. Again, talking with an Hawaii legend or a surf legend, Joey Cabell, we were talking about Jon, and basically he was saying, in my opinion, he is such a great champion because first he is a waterman. And
they went on a great sailing trip, right? Did he tell you about going on Jon's boat and racing to Kauai and stuff? Yeah.
He loves to sail, Joey Cabell, right? It's
he's amazing, that guy. Yeah, Jon's a lot more than just a surfer for sure. There's not a lot of guys. I don't think he's probably the only guy like on the CT that's actually like does a lot of other things in the ocean besides just going surfing. And he surfs more than most people too,
But let's talk about you as a
he's a non-golfer.
He's a non-golfer. Okay.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, we all become a golfer in a certain stage of our life, maybe. I don't know.
I'm trying to avoid it myself. I don't want to be a golfer. I just want to be a surfer.
I like that. I always prefer surf rather than golf. So let's talk about you as a surfer. What was your first proper surfboard? Like the one that, I don't know, you bought it yourself or like?
No, I remember for sure. I had some boards, like random boards that like I found in here and there that were just old beaters that were in the garage or something. But the first board that I really like somebody gave to me that was like, this is my board was it was a used board. I was probably 10, I was probably 10. And my parents are divorced. My mom's boyfriend was, he was a boogie boarder of all things. And he loved boogie boarding. And I'd go boogie boarding with him when I was a little kid, some places, whatever, play around. He bought me a board and it was a single fin. It was a short single fin. And it had this it was a local motion. And it had this crazy cloud, like rainbow cloud airbrush, like psychedelic airbrush. It was really cool. I wish I still had it. But that board, he got me for my birthday or something. I can't remember. And I just remember him giving it to me. And it was a used board that was like, it used to be kind of like, I grew up in Santa Barbara in California. And it was like this legendary kind of guy there, Jeff Jazerkowski. And it was his old board, which somehow this guy got. Anyways. He gave it to me and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And like, thanks so much. Whatever. I remember telling him, I'm all, just because I have a surfboard, I'm still going to boogie board with you. Like, we're still going boogie boarding. And he looked at me and he's like, no, like, I don't think you will. Like, this is going to change everything for you right here, And it was pretty cool. And it really did. It changed everything. So I started surfing on that. And I remember and so that was a single fin. And this was right when like everyone else had twin fins. I'm not that old. So it was like everyone was riding twin fins at the time, but I got a single fin somehow. And then I immediately traded it for a twin fin with somebody. And then I bought my second twin fin used from it was actually, I bought it from the Channel Islands store in Santa Barbara. And it was a Bob Kraus twin fin. But then that next board, so my fourth board was my first thruster. That was when thrusters started. And this guy, Matt Moore, who is a great friend of mine still, he's a shaper from Carpinteria right outside Santa Barbara. And I got a thruster from him, and then he made my surfboards for me from there on out for a long time until I was 18 or 19.
Fantastic. And
so I went from single fin, twin fin, thruster, all within probably 2 years, 3 years, 2 years, less, pretty fast.
Quick evolution, right?
Yeah.
You were looking for more like adventure, more speed, more.
Well, I also was I'm a goofy foot, and the Santa Barbara's like the land of the right points, so I'm backside surfer there, and twin fins never were like super good backside. They're all right, but they're kind of at a weird disadvantage. So as soon as I got on a thruster, everything felt so much better. It was awesome.
And so how did it start, the transition between you as a surfer and you as a shaper?
It was a long time from then. Like that was, I think I got my first new board from Matt when I was probably 13. I was in junior high and I just surfed tons. All we did is surf. And I was like, I competed and stuff in all the amateur contests around my hometown and up and down the coast. I think my highest I ever went was like to like the nationals or some, national championships. I didn't win it or anything, but so I competed a lot. And then like, I surfed a lot, and I just, with Matt, the guy that was shaping my board, Matt Moore, he was kind of like, he's only about 15 years older than me. So he wasn't really like a father figure, but he was like way too old to be like my friend, but he was way too young to be my dad, but he was really influential and really cool. And, like I worked at his surf shop when I was a kid and I just watched him shape all my boards. And like, I literally watched him shape every single board that I ever got from him, like in the shaping room with him. And he would talk me through things and kind of explain things to me. And eventually I'd even I was templating, like he taught me how to template a board, like do the outline and all this stuff, but I never shaped anything, but he just really gave me a lot of insight into it. And the thing with Matt that I always say is I really liked the way he lived his life. Like his life is kind of like mine is now. Like it was 100% around the ocean and surfing and like his family and his business, which was all the same thing, And he had a boat. We'd go fishing on his boat, go out to the islands and surf. And he would work when the waves were shitty. He'd go surf when the waves were good, just all these things. And so I wasn't entirely like, I don't put him as like necessarily the influence of my shaping because I wasn't shaping at the time. I was just watching and listening, but he was definitely like really influential into like, I really liked how he lived. And he wasn't like, he didn't have a ton of money or anything like that, but he just had this really good life. And I think that spread to me a lot there.
Yeah, it's a great teaching, like you don't need the money to be happy if you have like your family and friends around you.
Like, yeah, he was awesome. He would pick us up in his van and take us down the coast to contests or do whatever. Like he was awesome and a really good surfer himself and just a great guy. And still, like I said, he's still one of my good friends. So living in Santa Barbara, I was into that, like looking at boards, all this stuff. And then eventually I traveled to Hawaii quite a bit and I was always, I always loved it over here in Hawaii. And eventually I was just decided like, hey, why don't I live there? Like I was surfing a ton, I was working and all that, and I was sponsored by Rip Curl, getting like free stuff. I wasn't ever getting paid or anything, but like I was a good like regional surfer. And but I came to Hawaii and I'm like, I'm just gonna stay here. And when I came here, I brought a bunch of boards. I moved to Hawaii with 1992. And at the time, after a while with Matt, I eventually started getting some boards from another guy, Hamish Graham. Matt was out of town for like months one time and I needed boards. So I got these channel bottoms. Hamish makes these beautiful channel bottoms, like Alan Byrne style deep channels. So I got some boards from him and then I ended up kind of riding his boards for a while. And when I moved to Hawaii, all I brought was, I remember I had $1,000. I had 7 new surfboards and I had 1 duffel bag full of clothes. And I moved over here and I bought a car worth like $400. So I was down to $600 day one and just started kind of figuring it out. And what happened is I started dinging boards or breaking boards. And throughout my life, I'd always, my dad's a sailor. So I've always been around boats my whole life and like seen my dad do resin work and repairing the boat and all this stuff. And so I always fixed my own boards and did my own ding repair and stuff. So when I started breaking boards, I didn't have any money, but I could take them to this factory here right at Sunset Beach called Country Surfboards. And I would fix them and I would just pay the guy. Ed Surfoss was the guy who owned it. He's a great guy. And I would pay Ed for the resin and the materials. And then I'd fix my own board. And then I could keep surfing, that was the only way I could surf. I was just breaking all these boards. I couldn't even afford, I had no money. I wasn't working, doing shit. I was just like surf. And, so eventually I kept coming up there and Ed's like, hey, you keep coming here. You know what you're doing, how to fix a board. Like, why don't you fix this other board over here and I'll pay you. So not only can you fix your board, but you can actually like walk away with some money at the end of the day. So that was literally my first like surfboard industry job was Ed letting me fix dings just because I was already fixing my own shit. So it started there and it just progressed in a weird way. It's pretty simple, really. I'll just summarize from there.
Okay.
From there, I was always interested in surfboards. I'm fixing dings. I'm working at this factory. I'm surrounded by, there's shaping rooms. There's stuff everywhere. I started getting boards from Jeff Bushman here in Hawaii. I met him through some friends of mine these good friends I have here, actually, that I'm still great friends with. And I'm still really good friends with Bushy too. So I started getting boards from him once I started having a little bit of money, and I'd glass them myself too. So I was like getting a shape blank, but then I take it in. I started learning how to glass a whole board. I could make a whole surfboard, except I couldn't shape it. And Bushman was so cool. He would let me watch him shape. He would tell me all the stuff. He was just really like one of the most open shapers. A lot of shapers are very like secretive, especially back then. It was even more so. So in my head, I was just like, hey, I kind of want to make a board. It was always kind of in my brain, in the back of my head, like I want to make a surfboard and shape a board. And I'm a poor artist. Like I'm a very bad artist. You asked me to draw something. I'm not very good at drawing things. And so in my head, I was always like, I'm not going to be good at shaping, but I still wanted to try it. And so I decided I would shape one surfboard. Like, I'm just going to buy a blank. I'm going to shape one board. And if it's okay, I'll continue and try to do more. I wasn't like, I'm going to be a shaper. It was just like, I'm going to make a board. And then if it sucks, I'm just done. I'll forget all about it. And Bushman gave me so much help and everything. He told me about rockers and different numbers, all this stuff. So I made a board. I shaped it at this factory at Country Surfboards, which was directly across the street from Sunset Beach. It was like, you literally walk down the driveway and you're at Sunset Beach. It was incredible.
Wow.
Like, it was, I can't even believe it existed. It was amazing. It's probably some property that's worth $5 million right now. So Ed let me use this other shaper's old room there. I shaped a board, I airbrushed it, glassed it, had glass on fins, everything, sanded it, did the whole thing. And I went and wrote it and it worked. It was good. Like, it was okay. It wasn't like amazing, but it was a good board and I liked it. And I actually ended up selling it to someone else actually bought it, wrote it eventually. So that was it really right there. It was like, hey, I'm going to keep trying this. And I kept getting my guns because I was surfing pipeline. I was surfing like bigger waves a lot. And I kept getting my guns from Bushman because I didn't trust myself to learn. Like, that's a scary thing. Like, at the time I was riding, like, my biggest board at pipeline would be like an 8.0, it was like, that was the old days. We were riding pretty big boards and I just wasn't ready for that. But I kept making my short boards and just kind of trickling them through and one after another. Whenever I kind of could afford a blank and the materials for a glass job or whatever. And Bushman saw me doing that. And I eventually, it was like a few friends would order a board, like, hey, make me a board, so I'd make them a board for my own, like, whatever it cost me, I wasn't making any money. It was just like something I was happy to be able to do it. And they started getting a little better. And Bushman kept helping me. He started letting me use his shaping room to shape. He was really cool. And then this was right when like shaping machines were kind of kicking in. And so he offered me a job shaping for him, finishing boards from a shaping machine. And that was amazing. And that really helped me learn about, he would teach me how to finish boards and like how to feel things and to see things and explain a lot of stuff. And so that was a real education. It was like having this like PhD shaper guy just take you and tell you whatever you wanted, really. I mean, he would like, here's the numbers and here's the outlines. Use my stuff, whatever. He was great.
It's mentoring, right?
Yeah, he was my mentor and he was amazing. And just like, really, I love the guy. Like, he is just really, it was incredible. So it was like him and Matt Moore, both like influenced me to be where I am today, for sure. You know, like they're the two most important people in different ways. But Bushman gave me a job finishing boards for him. But at the same time, he even had his own shaping machine. At the same time, he would not allow me to use the shaping machine.
Okay.
So he said, you just keep hand shaping. And when you've done enough boards and your hand shapes are good enough, then you can start using the machine.
That was a good one.
That. I could have gone to somebody else and tried to use, whatever. I respected that. And I appreciate that so much because it taught me a lot more than I would have learned had I just made surfboards on a computer and done it that way myself. So that was it, really. I just worked for Bushy, and then it just slowly, my whole thing continued on where I continued to glass. I glassed a lot. So my main money at that point was from glassing. So I was always glassing this whole time, and I was glassing my own boards, and I was glassing boards, like boards I was shaping. I was glassing for other people, not my own shop, but working, laminating and finning and hot coating. And like, I'd go work at other factories, sometimes in California for the summer and different stuff. And then eventually I got my own glass shop. So I would do my own boards only there. And so I could still make the money. I wasn't, it takes a long time to build your name in the surfboard world, and especially in Hawaii. And so I always worked for other people, and then eventually shifted to myself. And now I finally don't have to glass at all if I don't want to. It took a long time. It took a long time. I glassed, even for years, I think until John was probably maybe like 17 or 18, maybe for sure 18, I was glassing every one of his boards myself because I couldn't afford to give him surfboards that I was paying somebody else to glass. It was like I had to save my money to do that. And so I was doing everything for a long time.
That's good. It's part of the craft of surfboard shaper, right?
I love it. I'm stoked that I just glassed my own board the other day. Now I have my own little glass shop here, and I can go there anytime I want and do one board or whatever I want to do, which is really fun, Exactly.
And I maybe if you are now at your level, you can give the opportunity that has been given to you to some young shaper, right?
I agree. The funny thing is, it's so weird now. I kind of feel sad in a way, is that you can't teach anybody the same way that you used, like the way that Bushman taught me. Like, here's how you get your planer and you cut this out and you do this, and here's how you cut in rocker, and this is there's all these things. Now, guys don't want to do that. First of all, it takes a lot of time. Like in my life, if I was doing that every day, hand shaping, I would be happy to like bring a kid in and let him watch and show him how to do it. But like, it's all on the computer now. And it's like, oh, let me show you how to use the software. I don't want to do that. But like, I don't mind showing guys how to finish a board and help them. Yeah. But there's just not that. It's a really weird thing. Like there's not really any way to do that almost anymore. It's kind of tricky. Like, I almost feel sad that I don't have like a guy underneath me that's trying to like really become a shaper and learn or something. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but
no, it's difficult in this world that goes very fast and fingertip of Instagram or whatever social media.
I was going to say now like the new shapers, the younger guys are like, and I know all old shapers say the same shit, but like, they're like, their Instagram is as important as anything else they're doing. You know what I mean? The photos of their boards, and like, there's guys that are like shaped 10 boards. And if you look at their Instagram, you're like, these guys are incredible. Like, it's all, a lot of it's marketing or whatever these days, but it's I don't know. It's just real different. Like you don't really have that way of like passing on your knowledge, except maybe through explaining like ideas of outlines or what rocker does or whatever. I like to try to do that with people, but I can't like physically show them how to shape that well,
But it's still, for me, it's still very good to observe, like, for instance, what is the convention called? The Boardroom Show in LA. Like awesome. This year they had Pat Rosen, homage to Pat Rosen, to see all the shaper coming together and like hand shape and compete.
Did you go to that?
No, actually, I'm pretty far, but I saw the videos and I was discussing about it. And it's pretty cool, you know?
Oh, it's incredible. And those guys are all like, I feel it's funny. I've always I'm like a shaper fan. Like I love shapers. Like before I started shaping, I was always like, oh, this guy's a great shaper. This guy, I always just loved surfboards. And so I've always admired the guys that made them. And a lot of them are quite a bit older than me that were really good when I was younger. And it's like, I'm friends with a lot of those guys, even like most of those guys these days. And it's so cool to be like, I'm part of that gang, you know? It's pretty awesome. I look around, I'm like, oh, I'm friends with Pat Rawson and Timmy Patterson and like just guys that are like unbelievable legends, you know? And I just had a great conversation with Timmy a couple of days ago. And like that guy's all time. I've met a lot of great shapers and most of them I really admire and like, which is really cool. And most of them are pretty cool guys. They all have kind of the same, we're all kind of stoked on surfing and surfboards and we all kind of love the same stuff. So I guess we get along easily.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I mean, going back to this year boardroom show edition, it was so nice to see Dick Brewer coming and with his old hands, you know, like touching the lines of the board. And then you understand, you know, like the gap, right? I mean, obviously technology helps, right?
Crazy. Oh, I'll look at, I trip out the brewers. Like you can look at a brewer that's like, he made in like 1972 and like, look at the bottom contours on that board. And they're like influential to today's surfboards. Like you look at what he's like the concaves and different stuff that he was doing back then. And you're like, wow, I'm doing something kind of similar to this in like the shortboards I make today. It's wild. That guy was an amazing thinker as far as like design and really interesting.
So we need to preserve the art of shaping. But anyway, in order to talk about this subject, we will have to have another podcast by itself. But it is something that, of course, you guys, you know, have a responsibility towards the younger, right? It's too easy.
Totally.
To be an Instagram shaper, you know.
But I mean, I understand it too. Like I don't like resent those guys. It's not like I'm like, but I like to see the younger guys that are trying to do stuff and it's cool. Everything's interesting, you know.
There's space for everybody. Let's say it this way.
Totally. And different areas of the world have real different like things like that. You know, there's a lot of guys in places, especially like in like smaller European towns where like you can't get a board cut on a shaping machine, or you know, it's like the nearest shaping machine's 200 miles away, so they hand shape and make their own boards, and it's cool. You know, there's a lot of things going on. So
exactly. And I started this interview asking you what is the most important thing in surfing. What is the most important thing in shaping?
I think to be able to visualize like how the water is interacting with what you're making, and like the pressure, the forces, it's the hydrodynamics, I guess, but like how whatever you're making, what you want it to do, to understand like, this is what this guy wants this board to be able to do. How am I going to make it do that? And then what changes to that design? How does that affect how the board works? You know, I think there's a lot to that. And I think every shaper has, like, I've listened to a lot of shapers talking about different designs and different stuff. And I think we all have like kind of the basic, we're in agreement on the basics, but I think each guy has a little bit of a different feel for some of the smaller little aspects of it. Like I tend to think of like, I think a lot about like water pressure, like the way the board, when you tip a board over, like how it applies pressure in different parts of the board and what it does, rather than like what that curve is actually, just what the curve itself is doing. I'm imagining like under speed and different things, and like how that pressure affects the design is affected by the pressure, and how to make it work better with different pressure or get different results, things like that. I think visualization of some sort. I remember I actually did the other day, I listened to I listened to your podcast with Eric when you talked to Eric Awakawa a while back, because somehow it made me think something about it. I just wanted to listen to you, and like I was curious to see, because I hadn't really listened to your podcast much, and I wanted to kind of hear your style and figure out, just have an idea of how our conversation might go. And I really like Eric. I know Eric pretty well, and what he said was, he said to be able to visualize what you want to make. He's like, basically he's old school hand shaping, especially. So it's like you had a block of foam, like, and blanks used to be really crude too, back in like way back. So his idea is like, hey, you want to be able to like understand what you want this thing to look like when you're done, or what it's going to do. And I can agree with that for sure. But to me, it's like more of the visualization of like how it feels, or how it interacts with the water and speed and different speeds and stuff like that.
But definitely, so first of all, very interesting. Second, thank you for listening to one episode before.
I've listened to other ones too. I think I just hadn't for a while, and then I'm like, I just want to see kind of.
And that one with Eric was amazing. I really loved like it was very deep.
Well, Eric's a very spiritual guy, and he's a genuine, he's a good guy. I like to listen to podcasts where people talk to shapers, because I always pick, I learn things listening to other guys and hearing their approach. It's kind of like, I enjoy watching other guys shape, even if it's just scrubbing a board with sandpaper, or finished pre-shape or something. Like I can watch somebody I've learned stuff just watching guys, finish boards or whatever. They don't have to be running a planer to really learn. You still have a lot you can see. And you kind of take away maybe a little of their style of how they finish something, or maybe you see a tool that they're using or something that will help you or whatever. So I like to kind of learn by watching.
Cool, fantastic. And so you will see there will be a lot of shapers in the next episodes of the podcast, and as well. What I am discovering is that there is like not a huge, but a significant number of women shaping, which for me was a pleasant surprise.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
Because it's a different approach, but as we said before, there is space for like every kind of shaping, every kind of approach, and I think it's very interesting to discover also that part, on a male-dominated industry.
Yeah, that's really cool. I have two daughters, and I was thinking the other day actually about it, and I'm like, no one's going to take over my business. Like, I don't, neither of my daughters has any interest. One of them's a full-on surfer and loves it. And I've had her help me finish her own boards and stuff, but she never is like, oh, I want to shape, she has her own business and is doing her own thing. And then the other one is like super into horses and just she surfs sometimes, but she's like a land person, a horse person. And so it's funny. It's like, I think a lot of shapers, maybe they have a son or a daughter that is interested in the business. They might pass it on to, but I feel like this is it with me. It's going to be the end of the road whenever I'm done.
What to do is the dream of every father to think that the son or the daughter, they continue the business of the father.
Yeah, it is in a sense, but in a sense, I'm like, this is a pretty tough business. Like it's actually a terrible business. It's a great like lifestyle, but it's a bad business. If you want to just make money, it's a horrible business.
Yeah. No, if you want to hear to another one episode, it's with recently with Akila Ipa.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
And he's talking about the business. He says like the business is a cash intensive business. I don't make money on a board. And the only way for me to make money is to produce a lot of boards. But to produce a lot of board, I have to maintain the quality. And in order to maintain the quality, I have to incur in cost. And my name, Ipa, is the name of my father. And so I don't want just to do things like that. And then he was talking about how the new model with Kelly's later help.
Yeah.
To survive, to stay afloat. So quite interesting.
There's a lot of different, like, yeah, shaping. If you just put the numbers down on a piece of paper, like the business numbers, no human that ever would want to start a business with those kind of numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember Jeff Bushman, his one of my favorite things he told me, he's like, if you want to make $1 million shaping, start with $3 million.
Yes, exactly.
That's how you do that. And I was like, oh yeah, that kind of sums it up.
Yeah, that gives an idea of where the money will go. It's okay.
It's a tricky business, but it's a labor of love for me, and I would not be doing. I couldn't be more happy. Like I go to work every day, and like I just love what I do. So I don't even ever feel like I'm working.
Exactly. How do you deal with innovation?
Innovation in what? What do you mean?
Innovation in surfboards, like
construction or design or what?
But in effect, there are a lot of things, again, if we were talking with Eric Arakawa, we were talking about innovation of material, or can be innovation towards eco material, like less polluting, or it can be surfboard design. So I'm sure, like, there are many kind of innovation that can be done, but I'm sure like you focus on an area better than the other one. Maybe you focus on surfboard design rather than material, or I don't know, or.
I understand. I would say my main focus is on design, and then because I can control that, it all comes from my head and my feedback I get from writers and stuff like that. And so that's the easiest place to try to like improve or innovate or whatever you want to say. Just to keep, it's nice to keep your boards at like a real high level of, it's funny, like this business is different because there's like winning contests and then there's just people surfing, there's two kind of different things. And the hardest boards in the world to make are the boards that win contests, because the guys that win the contest or win a world title, they're the best surfers in the world. And they're generally, whether they're like actually like picky or not, they're all very sensitive to their surfboards. There's not any surfer winning a world title that doesn't know exactly what he wants to ride, exactly how he wants that board to feel, and is looking for a very, very specific result from his board. And so that is one side where you're like, hey, this is the most high intensive design work you can ever do, and like these tiny little incremental things that change everything. And then there's like the opposite thing is like the guy that surfs on the weekends or whatever, like the guy that's just a casual surfer, and what's going to make that guy happy? Like he wants a board that catches waves easily, maybe, or helps him do whatever it is. But even that guy, I still want to make my board, make him do what he does as good as he possibly can. Right. So that's always my goal to make whoever's riding my board to be able to surf to the best of their ability at that time, and that's a super important thing for me. And like I said, it could be the world champ, or it could be weekend warrior, everyday guy, whatever. But still, I want them to be like, wow, I did something better than I thought I could, or whatever, from their board, or they had a great time, or whatever it is. So that's where I focus a lot on just designs. And it's not necessarily like the most high performance designs only I'm focusing on. I'm finding like the everyday guy designs that work really well, but still elevate their game. And then beyond that, like we always are looking for material stuff, and something like the holy grail that everyone is chasing is like a board that does less damage to the environment when we make it, a board that we can dispose of somehow that is less damaging. It doesn't just go in a landfill. Something that's not giving off a lot of toxins. Like some things, I have kids. I want my grandkids to have a world that is healthy and happy, and they don't have to stay inside and hide from the sun because it's 120 degrees outside every day or whatever. So we're always looking at different aspects of that. And the thing that pretty much every shaper will go back to is like, it's hard because we're already struggling to make money in our business. The margins are so slim. And when you get into stuff everything that goes in most things that go in those directions, like either more high tech or more like eco-friendly, a lot of those are more expensive.
Definitely.
And so educating the people that are buying our boards, like people will say like, I can't believe I'm paying this much for a surfboard. And they don't understand what goes into it. And like how many people, like I'm working on to try to get this project done where we make a movie showing every single person along the way that makes a board, from the guy that starts making the blank to the guy, just every step of the way till the finished product that gets handed to the person.
Yeah.
Because I think that these days a lot of surfers are very removed from the fact that like these are handmade items that are like made by people that they have to know what they're doing. You can't just like hire a guy, like go down the corner and find a guy that needs a job and like have him sand a surfboard. Yeah. Like these are guys that have been working for 20 years that are doing that good. And like, there's all these craftsmen and for everyone way beyond the shaper, it's like the glassers, the sanders, the airbrushers, every person is so important in the life of a surfboard. And I feel like a lot of times people are removed from that. They walk into a surf shop these days and there's 300 beautiful white, perfect surfboards that like everyone is amazing and perfect, different levels of quality, but basically all just incredible. But it's like they didn't just appear there. They didn't just get like pulled out of a truck. It's like each of those boards had probably 5 to 9 people touch it along the way,
Yeah, exactly.
And I just wish that so to educate, my point is when people are saying like things are really expensive and they don't want to pay, so they'll whatever. If you want to have something that's going to be better for the earth, or you want to have something that's a little more high tech along the way or whatever, it just costs money. And if we can get people to be willing to do that, and you can see that that's changing in the world where people will buy like organic vegetables. Yeah. You can buy the $1 a pound broccoli, or you can buy the $3 a pound organic broccoli, and people will buy the organic broccoli, right? It's like, It's better for your body. Well, we could make boards that are better for the world, but they're going to cost more than the shitty boards, Yeah,
of course. But that's it's important, I think it goes into the awareness, like of everybody, that totally. We need to shift in things that are polluting less. Like you go from construction material for buildings up to surfboards. It's like it's a progress that has to be made. And I like the idea of the video. I want
to make a movie a little and with interviews with the people that are making it, like the sanders and I don't want it to be about me and being a shaper and any of that shit. I just want it to be about like the process and the people involved, because they all are very talented people and they work really hard. And most of them that are building boards, almost everyone involved in my board business is a surfer. Like they all surf, that's why they do it. They have a story. Every one of them has a story about why they ended up helping to build surfboards, and it's usually the root of that story is being a surfer. And it's pretty cool,
I give you an idea of the title of that short movie. It can be like the golden ants of surfing,
Yeah, the golden ants.
Yeah, because, there is like a topic of preserving those ants, as we said before, like in this today, everybody wants to go fast and machine and whatever. Sure. And, at the end, you, as you said, these are handmade.
Yes.
So it's we need to realize that, and we need to make sure that in a way or another we protect. It's a craft.
Every surfboard is like a fine Italian loafer. It's like a beautiful Italian hand sewn shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
They all are. I mean, maybe or at least the ones we're making, I hope. But
the Italian government protects those artisans. So in a certain way, the government as well should protect the surfboards.
In Australia, my Australian shaper friends, they do get a lot of help. They will get help sometimes from the government. They'll help support projects they're doing, or they'll help them build a factory, or they'll do things. America, I've never heard of any shaper getting any sort of help from the government ever, really.
Okay, but there will be a time maybe in the future.
All right.
We hope.
we take surfing differently than Australians. They take it a lot more of like a serious sport, and their government invests in it, and their teams and all this stuff. America is very we're not at that level.
Different approach. At least if we could start with a why, at least it would be a right starting point for everything. So I have so many questions, but I don't want to keep you forever here.
No worries.
What is the best achievement, or the one that you are the most proud of your career so far?
The thing I'm most proud of is everything I think that I've done in shaping everything is the relationships that I've made with people, where like with my team riders, and I really I just like to I've created something that I feel very good about as far as the people that I work with. And like a lot of people ask me, like, I've been asked, like, how come you don't have more team riders? Like, your team's kind of small, or whatever it is. And I'm always like, I just want to be able to have like real relationships with the people that I'm working with as far as surfboard stuff goes, and not be like, have so many team riders that I can't actually like really talk to them and be like know what they need and be a part of their thing. And I feel like I had one of my good friends, his son Thatcher is one of my team riders too, because not just because he's my friend's kid, but he's a really good surfer. And the other day, he's 18, and he said to me, he's like, hey, I noticed, like, it's really cool. Like, everybody on your team is like a really good person,
It's cool.
And I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. And like, I've made a point that to get that, like I've had opportunities to work with people that I just didn't really like that much, and just didn't like maybe respect in a way or something. And I've just, even though they're really good surfers, I've chosen to stay away from that. And I built a team of people that I'm really proud of as people, beyond just being good surfers. And that makes me feel really good. Like, it's like they're going out in the world with my boards and representing my brand. And they're people that I'm proud to have do that, beyond just like being amazing surfers.
As long they don't play golf.
I don't really have too many golfers on my team. And I'm not an anti-golfer. I'm just
it's a part of the contract. Say like
also no golfing. If I catch you golfing, we're gonna have to restructure this deal.
We do a lawsuit.
I love that. Like, so I feel like my team riders are like, I feel like
it's your extended family, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and their successes feel good to me because I'm proud of them. I'm not just like, oh, they're gonna make me sell more boards or whatever. Like, I'm proud to be a part of helping them succeed in their goals and to do what they want to do is really special for me. Like, it makes me feel good.
Yeah. You see, I totally agree with you, and I think that's the way things should be done. Like, really, if you can attract people that are similar to you and that are good person, good things generate other good things, and so it's a kind of spiral of positivity or positiveness that helps. That helps, right? It helps you at when you shape, when you work. It helps them to trust you.
Yeah, I believe in like what you give is what you get.
Exactly.
Like, if you're giving and you're being a good person, you're going to receive good in your life.
Exactly. Okay, so what's next to come? Are you working on a part of the movie, the video of the?
That's been 2 years of making. That was my wife's idea, by the way.
But it's a great idea.
That was my wife's plan. She's like, we should do this, and that was totally her idea, which is awesome.
You should put it out there. Like now there is a lot of crowdfunding. Like.
No, I have a partner that wants to do it. It's just been a matter of, really, it was kind of like we were about to get it going, and it was COVID kind of stopped everything.
Okay.
It was like, it's been a while, but yeah, my wife suggested we just do it ourselves, and then of course I had to like bump it up further. Like, well, if we're gonna do it, like, let's make it really special and like something amazing. And And I've been talking to Yeti, to the people at Yeti, about doing it. They do a lot of things with craftsmen and different things like that I'd like to do. And my friend Chris Malloy does a lot of stuff for them and films, and he's an amazing director and just real smart, good dude. And so
soon on our screen, we'll see. We'll wait. That to be
well, I wouldn't say soon. As at the rate it's taking, it should be about 3 more years.
Oh my God!
A 7-minute movie, but we'll see. I hope it comes. I hope it works. If not, I'll just have to do it myself with a handy cam and walk around the factory down. You know, we can shoot it all around my factory. There's all this stuff going on. It's really easy. But anyways, it'll be cool. Hopefully. In
addition to that, something else you're working on?
I have a few projects. You know, we've been working on stuff with, I'm working we have a few things we're working on, some stuff kind of outside surfboards, but in the surfboard industry still. And, I think the biggest thing for us really is like, we've just trying to make our business. We always want to, right now, it's really easy to be a surfboard shaper. Like you're just selling surfboards. Every guy from every level, the guy that sells 20 boards a month is now selling 50 boards a month. The guy that sells, 10 boards a month is selling 25 boards a month, whatever. Like our business is going through the roof as far as like selling boards. But what we really want to do is like, I want to keep it connected. I really want to have it where people feel like, I want them to understand that like, even though they see this big label, Pyzel Surfboards, and our boards are all around the world, everywhere now. It's still really, literally, my wife and I own the business. Like it's our company, and my wife has done at least half of the work to get us to where we are. She's been incredible as like, I'm good at shaping. She's good at all the other stuff. You know, she's good at like people and taking care of things and organization and, just the business part of it. She's been so smart and learned so much as we go along. My point is, I guess, just to say thank you to her, first of all, Allie, she's awesome. But also just that I really want people I want to stay connected to those boards and like, even though somebody's getting a board in Brazil or wherever they're, South Africa or Bali or whatever, I'm really still like, it's really my business and those are my boards and it's really important to me. So I just hope that like we can keep it so that people understand like how much we care about it and that what we're doing, and it's like our baby, like it started literally from nothing to something that's pretty special and it's still super special to us. So
everyone that has one of your boards can come in Hawaii and say hi to you is allowed to.
Well, like we have our Instagram account. Like I run that account. That's me. So you send a message to Instagram, I'm the guy answering your message. And I really love that. And my wife's kind of gives me a shit sometimes. She's like, you're on your phone again. Like, I know, but like, this is part of my job too, to me, is like, I'm trying to let like people ask me questions and it's me answering them. I didn't hire some kid to do it or, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, whatever's on there is me. And I love that. I love Instagram where like you can be kind of connected to the world and still like, I cannot answer stuff if I don't want to or whatever too. Right? Just like, yeah, I'm busy or whatever. But like, I can talk to people that are on the other side of the world and they tell me about how much they like their board or they ask me a question about what board they think I should get or whatever it is. And like, it's cool to be able to like still be that connected to that.
Definitely.
Pretty awesome.
We're going to finish our interview with a short Q&A session. So please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Your best surfboard that you ever ridden.
I don't know. I'll tell you, I did have a magic board that, it's funny because it wasn't a board I rode tons, but Bushman made me a board when I was working for him. And it was a 10-0. And this was when I was young and I liked bigger waves and I wasn't worried about hurting my back or whatever. He made me a 10-0 and it was a gift. It was like, he shaped me a board as like, I'm gonna call it a bonus for working, whatever it was. He's like, here's a board for you. I don't think it was a birthday present or something. I think it was just like, thanks for, at the end of the year. And he shaped me a 10-0. I glassed it myself. And that 10.0 was amazing. It was really special. And I have had a lot of really special, good boards throughout my life from other people. And I've had a lot of boards that I've really loved of my own. But that board stands out as something that, like, I got some pretty big waves on it. And it always just felt like it could do no wrong for me. It was pretty cool. I still have it under my house. And he probably made it for me 25 years ago, you know? So that might have been one of them for sure. That was one of the top ones.
Favorite shaper of all time?
I can't say, honestly, I'm sorry, but I just have like little parts. There's all these different guys that I like little parts of what they do.
Okay.
That I see. Like, I haven't felt one lately, but like Timmy Patterson's rail, the feel of his rails, and Pat Rawson's tail curve, his round pins that were never pinny and pinched. They were always like round, which I really love. I still do that a lot, kind of in my boards. Simon Anderson's boards just look amazing to me. Like, just, they're so rad. Like, just that he made a thruster and like changed everything. And Dick Brewer's stuff from years back that is just like timeless.
Okay. So I love that.
Yeah, like all the guys that made boards for me, Matt Moore, all the guys that shape boards for me, there's rad parts of what they do. You know what I mean? But I don't really have like one shaper that I'm like, that's the guy. I don't know.
Personal question, your favorite song?
Oh, I don't know. Some Led Zeppelin song.
Wow, not bad.
I love Led Zeppelin.
Not bad choice, you know. It's like it's great rock group. So
yeah, timeless. You know, it's funny. I was listening to some Led Zeppelin the other day, and I looked at I was on Spotify or whatever, and it has like the information, and I'm like, 1972. Like, this song's fucking 50 years old, and it's insane, right? Like, you're just like playing the drums in your head, you know, just crazy. You know, it's like, I can't believe this is a 50-year-old song.
Yeah,
awesome.
those songs are like forever, you know. It's like,
great. I don't know if kids like Led Zeppelin these days or not, but they should.
What they like. If you go in Spotify, you see Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, Greta Van Fleet's awesome. Yeah, they're like, I read an interview with them where when I first heard them, I looked them up, and they claimed they'd never heard Led Zeppelin ever.
Come on.
Like, that is bullshit. Like, are you guys kidding me? Like, you guys are like Led Zeppelin right now. I was cracking up. I'm like, you guys are either they're full of shit or they're just messing with me.
Yeah, they're messing with us.
Those guys are awesome.
But they're awesome. Yeah, they do.
So good. Yeah.
Favorite surf spot?
My favorite surf spot is my home break in Santa Barbara. It's Rincon.
Okay.
It's absolutely packed and frustrating as hell and really inconsistent. And when it's good, it's extra crowded, but it is so much fun. I just love that wave so much. It's like, it feels like home to me when I go there and surf it. It's magical.
Love at first sight. So, favorite surfer of all time?
In particular, I mean, personally, it sounds cheesy, but like, the guy that I want to watch surf the most is Jon.
Okay.
Jon, you know, today, if you're like, who do you want to watch surf? That's who I want to watch.
We go back to the family part, you know. I'm not surprised. It's still,
just, even if I didn't even know the kid, that'd be who I wanted to watch. He's just like, I can't, every time I watch him surf, I'm like, oh, I love this.
And the last question, you are already prepared, and you told me already about your wife. So I want to know the best relationship advice.
Oh, well, I've probably not taken it enough, but happy wife, happy life. Super basic. And I don't listen to that advice enough. But I think it just comes down to not just that simple, but like trying to give to your family and your wife, not just be selfish. And surfers are really selfish. It's a very selfish thing. You skip, you miss things because the waves are good. You don't go to things. You take trips, and I've missed my kids' birthdays for going somewhere. It's usually been for work, but surf related work. I feel like surfers are so selfish. And I'm definitely a selfish person at times. And just to try to fight that and try to remember, or at least if you are being selfish, to make up for it somehow by being giving when you might have missed something to go surfing or whatever, but make sure you give a little extra, whatever you got to do after you're done with that, you know?
Yeah. If I have to use kind of the words of Eric Gordon, you know, the son of Gordon Smith, you know,
Sure.
He told me that he does the dishes, you know.
Oh yeah. No.
And while he's doing the dishes, so first of all, he's giving back, right? Because the wife is happy, doesn't disturb him because he's doing the dishes, but also he's learning hydrodynamics with the.
Love it. I'll tell you this. I literally put in my wedding vows to my wife that I will do the dishes. Like I said that in my vows that everyone at our wedding started cracking up. I'm like, and I promised to always do the dishes. So
amazing.
I'm a long time dish doer.
You are a specialist, so you can put it as a special content in the video after all the ants that are going through the process, you know.
Dishes. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show with me today. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, that was awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!